If you want to visit some of the most renowned waterfalls and hot springs in Cebu in the Philippines, and you have been following the blogger called Journey Era, then we need to talk because I have some updates about these waterfalls. Hello and welcome to a new video. In November 2023, I went to the Philippines for my third time. This time I visited Cebu and Palawan, and I wanted to see some of the most renowned waterfalls on the island of Cebu. So I was following the blogger called Journey Era on his blog and website. I have visited most of those waterfalls myself, and I want to share my experience because things have changed since he actually posted and wrote those blogs. Also, at the end of the video, I will share with you my top 3 waterfalls on the island of Cebu. Let's make something clear. I have visited the waterfalls, most of the waterfalls between the center of the island and the south. So I didn't go to the north of Cebu. You will find these waterfalls just by typing on Google Maps. The maps took me directly to the waterfalls without any issue. I stayed 2 nights in Molboal and 4 nights in Alegria. I have chose Alegria as headquarters because to me that was the closest place to the main waterfalls on the island. A couple of generic things before we jump into the waterfalls. You have to know that compared to what you're reading on the Journey Era blogs, all the waterfalls have been commercialized a lot. So now you will have a lot of tourists, you will have to pay an entrance fee, parking fee, also you will have to tip the guides most of the time, and also you will be provided of an helmet and a safety vest, and you won't be able to go on your own. Also keep in mind that in one day, if you leave early in the morning, you can possibly visit 3 or 4 waterfalls, because at the end they're really close to each other if you plan your itinerary in advance, as I did. I checked Google Map, checked all the waterfalls I wanted to visit, and then I connected the dots and see how many I could fit in a day. So let's get started. I'm gonna share with you the actual experiences at the waterfalls. On my first day, I was still in Molboal, and I booked a tour including the Osmena peaks and the Kawasan Falls canyoneering experience. You can check my previous video if you want to hear my feedback about the Osmena peaks, but briefly, a guy came to pick me up at 4 a.m. in the morning to go on top of the peaks, and then we reached the peaks at around 6 a.m. more or less. We saw the sunrise, kind of, and then we left, and we had a lot of time, so we also stopped by the Cambais waterfalls, which were not actually included in my package, but my guide asked me what I wanted to do. We had a lot of time, so we stopped by for a little bit. If you go by scooter, bear in mind that the road is not the best, sometimes off-road and muddy. It can be slippery, but also dusty if it's dry, so be careful there. We also found a few construction sites as we were going. We reached a bridge, and then on the right-hand side you will see a path, so you will leave your scooter or car there and you will have to walk. We walked more or less 5 minutes along the river, so you just follow the stream of water. You will reach a couple of houses where a couple actually lives. There's no entrance fee here, so we didn't pay anything, but my guide suggested to leave some money anyway as tips, even though there was no need to do so. From the house, we walked another 5 minutes, again, following the stream of water. You walk actually in the water, you need to cross the river a couple of times. The rocks are quite slippery, so be careful there. And you just walk inside bushes and plants. It's kind of a fun journey anyway. So we reached the first level of the waterfalls, which is quite a big pond with a big rock where the water actually falls, and my first impression wasn't anything special, and the whole experience was nothing special to me. It was more or less 9 in the morning. I sent the drone up in the sky just to check the waterfalls from above and see if I could notice anything a bit better. There's another couple of levels up there with probably a bigger waterfall. Unfortunately, I couldn't go because we didn't have time, but it didn't seem, again, anything amazing, so we just left. I think I saw 4 different levels in terms of waterfalls. And keep in mind, guys, this is my personal opinion, so don't take it as granted, don't take it as the word of God. It's just my opinion. So if you want to visit, go and check it out anyway. But also, I tried to go again to check the other levels a couple of days after, which was unfortunately a national holiday. So I arrived there at the parking area. I saw a lot of scooters and I left because I didn't want to see actually many people at the waterfalls. After that, we started to head towards Kawasan Falls and we reached the entrance at 10:30 in the morning. It was Saturday and it was already packed, meaning hundreds of people. I talked to my guide and I was asking if it's always that busy, and apparently it is, but if you go in weekdays, early morning, around 8 a.m., it's probably the best time to go because you are the first tourist. So you're going to enjoy a bit better the whole experience. Anyway, what happens here? You get to the meeting point, you will meet your guide, and you will be taken on top of the hills because you start from the hills going down. You will be taken either by car or by scooter, and you will reach level 8 of the waterfalls. So Kawasan Falls are made of 8 different levels, possibly more, but the one open to tourists are 8. Bear in mind, you won't be able to carry any big camera, big bags or drones because you will be completely soaked. So what I did, it was just carrying my GoPro and a couple of batteries in a small dry bag. So if you want to carry anything, just take a small dry bag, keep your phone and the GoPro. Also, I was given a snack, like a chocolate bar and a bottle of water. I was briefed together with a different group because my experience was actually a private tour. So I had a personal guide, just me and him, going along the journey. And from here, you have 2 choices. You can either get a zip line, so you can pay for a zip line that takes you to the entrance of the waterfalls from the top of the hill. You actually have 2 different zip lines. One is the Superman position, so with the head first, head facing down, which is the one I recommend because you can actually stay in position. And there's one where you're hanging, so you're sitting on a harness and you're hanging from a rope. But I don't recommend that because I've done it before and you keep spinning and you're not enjoying the view. The zip lines were, I remember, 500 or 600 pesos. I didn't choose this option, so the second option is to walk. You're gonna walk from the hill, from the top of the hills to the entrance of the waterfalls to level 8. And the guides will tell you that hike takes 45 minutes. We took more or less 25, 30 minutes, if so. Probably they tell you that's gonna take more to sell the zip line experience, in my opinion. So that's up to you again. But the zip line, to be honest, seemed a lot of fun. Now, when you reach level 8, the experience, the canyoneering, will take 3 hours until you reach level 1. So if you are in a big group, then you will have to queue, literally. You are seeing the images here. There's a lot of people there. But if you are on your own, so you have a private tour, you can actually overtake the big groups and it will make the journey a bit quicker as well. So from here, you will start jumping, sliding, walking through the water, swimming. The nature is immense and amazing. It's definitely one of my best experiences in the Philippines, and you feel like you are in Jurassic Park. There are some big jumps. I think one is mandatory, so you actually have to jump. I'm not sure how big that was, but you have jumps from 4 to 7 meters to 10 meters, and you can actually choose to jump or just hike down the rocks. At the end, when you reach the bottom levels, you can also swim behind one of the big waterfalls and dive through the waterfall, which is quite nice. And there's actually a swing, which I failed to do. So my tip here is to hold on tight to the wooden beam which I thought I did, but didn't work out. Amazing experience. Once again, totally recommended. One of my top 3 waterfalls experiences in Cebu. The next day, I hired a scooter. I was in Alegria this time, and I went to Cangkalanog Waterfalls. From the main road, you will see a sign indicating the falls, and then you will have to go downhill for 800 meters, still on your vehicle, and then you will find a parking area. Also, there's a kiosk for some food and drinks if you want to get anything. You will have to pay 50 Filipino pesos for the entrance and 30 for the parking fee. This is probably the only waterfall where you don't need a guide. So I just walked another couple of minutes down some slippery steps, and then you reach the falls straight away. I didn't see any tourists, probably a couple of tourists, and then a few local kids jumping and diving in the water. The pond is quite small, but seems quite deep. And actually I was told some people dive there, like they do scuba diving and snorkeling, something like that. So I couldn't actually see the bottom of the falls. In the journey era photos, you will also see a bridge made of bamboo, which is not there anymore. And there's a hut, like a house, which is not in great condition. So I think things changed a lot also because they had a typhoon during the journey era blogs and 2023. So everything really changed. Once again, I sent the drone just to save some time, and I only saw a couple of levels, and it's just a river actually. There's a tiny waterfall coming from a man-made platform which heads down to the main pool, and then you will follow down the stream, and I saw another pool, but again, nothing special. It didn't attract me, so I left, and I would tick off these off my list, so I wouldn't really go there again. Or if I knew, I wouldn't have gone in the first place. I left, and on the same day, right after, I went to Mainit hot springs. That was on Journey Era blogs again. Before I went, I asked too many people if the hot springs were open, because I heard voices that they were actually closed. So many people told me, no, they actually closed, they've been closed for a while, and I didn't really listen, so I got my scooter and went there. I went through a small village, I reached a parking area again, I saw a couple of guys and I asked if the springs were nearby. They indicated the road, so I followed this path, and after a couple of minutes, I reached a small river where you can actually find the hot springs. So the hot springs are a couple of ponds, nothing more, really tiny. In one, I could barely keep my feet for a couple of seconds. The water is so hot, unbelievable. And then I walked upstream a little bit. I found a different pond, and it was a tiny bit cooler, so I could rest a bit longer. I talked to a few local people there. We had a chat and a bit of fun. But bear in mind, I didn't pay anything because there was actually no one there getting money, and the parking fee would have been 20 pesos. There was a sign at the entrance say parking fee 20 pesos, but again, there was no one there, so I didn't pay. In general, the river and the shore was really, really dirty. A lot of rubbish thrown away. So again, I didn't really enjoy the view, and it was really humid, a lot of mosquitoes. I sent the drone up, I checked another couple of levels, and as before, nothing really amused me, so I left. And once again, this is one of the things I wouldn't put on my list. Another day. So this day I went to Dao Waterfalls. I was still in Alegria. It was a 40 minutes scooter ride from my accommodation going towards the south of the island of Cebu. Even in this case, you can see a sign on the road telling you where the falls are. I reached the entrance where, of course, I had to pay the entrance fee. Here it was 200 pesos plus 20 pesos for the parking fees. I was given a helmet and I was assigned to a guide, which is mandatory. I couldn't really choose, so they just gave me someone. Once again, in the Journey Era pictures I've seen on his blog, he had a really nice bamboo bridge, which is not there anymore, probably because of natural disasters. Anyway, From the entrance to the actual waterfall, it takes a 15 minutes walk, not longer than that. You will walk through the water, so actually hips high sometimes. The nature here is stunning and the whole hike is magical, so definitely recommend to visit these falls just because of the journey. The water is so blue and clear, it's stunning, and the leaves are so green. Again, nature top. It might be quite slippery and muddy, so if you have aqua shoes, definitely recommend it, not flip-flops. I would go with proper aqua shoes. You will walk basically inside a canyon, and that's the best hike I have done in my experience here through the waterfalls in Cebu. So you reach the waterfall on top of the hills, again going through some slippery stairs. It's a huge round canyon from which 50 meters waterfalls are dropping. There's a quite big pond at the bottom. There were 4 tourists there, and then at a certain moment I was on my own, so again, drone time. I just launched the drone and sent it up, and actually from the top these waterfalls look stunning, especially the level after. Unfortunately, only this level is open to the public, but I could see some people up there, some professional climbers, or I don't know what they were doing. But yeah, the next levels looked really interesting, but unfortunately we couldn't go. I didn't even swim here because it was quite chilly, so I recommend to bring maybe a lycra t-shirt or a surf, one of those surf long sleeves t-shirt if you have it. And this is a positive experience. I would go there again. After the Dao Falls, I left and I went to the Inambakan waterfalls. I paid 300 pesos for the entrance, 20 pesos for the parking fee. But also here, I had to pay the environmental fee, which is 70 Filipino pesos. You get a guide and you walk from the entrance, maybe 3 minutes to reach the waterfalls. Only 2 levels are open to the public out of 7. Again, what a waste. Because I think tourists do a lot of wrong things, so they just close it to the public. Anyway, I stayed on the main level where the waterfalls are actually dropping into, maybe 45 minutes, which is quite enjoyable. And then I saw another level just underneath, but it didn't really attract me, so I stayed on the waterfalls level. And there's a couple of jumps there. One is around 4 meters and one around 7. So I did both, and then I took some photos. Actually, the place is really stunning, so I would recommend to go there. As I had some more time here in the day, I also tried to go to Kabutongan waterfalls, which again are on the list of journey era. It was quite late in the afternoon, 4 p.m. So, and the road also, it's downhill. It takes maybe 10 minutes from the main road. I reached a village, so I was a bit confused. And then I saw the actual sign of the falls with a parking fee, but there was a bar closing the street. So I didn't know what to do. I wanted to try anyway, and I saw a woman there living. So I asked if I could go, and we couldn't really understand each other, but I understood that it was better to come back the next day. And here, I wasn't sure if the waterfalls were actually closed or open to the public. So it's something you have to check, and I never went back. So I can't really advise on these falls. That was another day. The day after, more waterfalls. I met with my friends Noi and Itai. I say hello, guys. It was good to see you again there in Cebu. And we went to Aguinid waterfalls. I went by scooter and they went by bus from Moolboal. But I went from Alegria, and again it took 40 minutes from there. We paid 350 pesos for the entrance and 20 pesos for the parking fee. You will arrive in this parking area, you will leave your scooter, you will have someone coming and help you out straight away. You will find a couple of shops selling drinks and food and some gadgets and accessories. You will be taken to the entrance where you pay, and you will be given a helmet, a safety vest, and a couple of guides. So it was 3 of us, and we had 2 guides following us. And then you will go upstream here. So that's why this waterfall is particular, because you go uphill. So you go upstream from level 0 to level 8. All the levels apparently are open here. Woo! So level 4 closed.
This is level 4
for now. Yeah.
How did they close it?
And I think this is the only waterfall, including Kawasan, where you actually need a guide, because some places are very steep and they know the place very well, so they will guide you literally through the hike. But in all the others, I think you can just go on your own. It's a way for them to make some money, of course, and exploit the tourism. Also, in certain parts here, you have to climb rocks and they're quite steep. Also, in one particular moment, you will have to grab a rope and pull yourself up the rocks. And I've seen some people struggling there. So it's good to have someone that helps you out and pushes you from the back. My advice here, as in Kawasan Falls, is to bring a dry bag and small gadgets, because you will get soaked, you will be in the water most of the time. So bring a GoPro, bring a smartphone with a cover and nothing else, and a couple of batteries for your GoPro if you want to do so. Because I went a couple of days before and I wasn't aware of this situation. So I arrived there, they told me what was going on, and I couldn't get in because I didn't want to leave my stuff back next to the scooter. It was really expensive gear, and I had to go back, unfortunately, to my accommodation. Anyway, the experience is amazing. The hike was one of the most beautiful things I have done again. The rocks are actually very, very grippy because they are made of limescale. There's a lot of different layers of limescale that became really grippy, so I didn't struggle at all. And again, the water is so blue. At a certain point, you can climb behind a waterfall, and I stayed there, I think 10-15 minutes, just enjoying the sound of nature and water and looking down at the pond. It was amazing there. You will see huge leaves from the trees. It will feel to be again in the Jurassic era. I recommend a t-shirt again because everything is covered. So the whole journey is covered by the palms and you won't be able to see the sky most of the time. So it can get quite chilly because you are in the shade for the whole journey. Then you have some fun at the end as well when you reach level 8, because you will be picked up by a van, an open van at the back, and you will have to sit there or stand. And that was, yeah, kind of cool as well. So the van will take you back down to the entrance. Yeah, another tour together.
Yeah, this is nice.
How many did we do? 3? Amazing experience. I will do it again, top 3. After this, we went to the Binalayan Waterfalls. I paid 150 pesos for the entrance, plus some pesos for the parking fee, and we had 2 guides again. And of course, remember, you don't have to, but you can tip the guides because apparently that's the only salary they get out of the experience. Here we didn't have to wear a helmet or a safety vest. And actually I found out the helmets are to protect you from the coconuts and not really for any other danger. Keep it in mind and keep it on your head. From the entrance, we walked through the nature amongst palm trees and along the river for around 15 minutes. We went uphill and we reached the main waterfalls, which was, I think, really stunning, actually. The falls itself, it's made of 3 different streams dropping from really, really high. I don't know how high that is, but it's stunning when you get there. I really enjoyed it here because there's different activities you can do. You can climb, you can jump, you can do cliff jumps, and you can swim, or you can just go behind the waterfalls again and enjoy the view. If you do bouldering and climbing outdoors, recommend it. It's good fun. There's a couple of challenges you can do for sure. The cliff jumps are quite high. I think you can jump from maybe 3-4 meters, and then you go to 7 from behind the waterfall. So that was quite tricky as well. And you can go up to maybe 10-15 meters as well. And one of the guides went to the very top, which was crazy, but they do it every day. Be careful because the water is quite shallow. So make sure you jump in the right spot. Here we only saw another 3 tourists and we had the place for ourselves for probably 45 minutes or an hour. Amazing waterfalls, top 3. Then I was asking for the Montpellier waterfalls, and they have been closed for the past couple of years. So make sure you double check before you go there. I can't give you any feedback on these specific falls. So that was my experience about waterfall chasing on the island of Cebu in the Philippines. Now, if I had to choose only 3, I would definitely go to Kawasan Falls because it's special. Even if it's packed with tourists, the adventure itself and the nature is amazing. Then I would go to Aguinid because they are completely different and you go upstream, and again, you're just surrounded by beauty. And I would go to Binalayan because of the variety of activities you can do. Again, you can climb, you can jump, you can swim, you can enjoy nature, and it's really beautiful anyway. If you have more time, then I recommend also Dao Falls because of the hike, which is stunning, and the Inambakan Falls. Everything else I listed, not worth my time to me. So I hope the video helped out. More tips about the Philippines on my channel. Go subscribe right now. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Take care.